Hello, everyone. My name is Molly Murrah, and I'm your host this evening for the 2023 Waterworks Online Membership Exhibition reception with our juror, David R. Smith, who did a wonderful job with all of the entries. We had a large number of entries for this exhibition. We had over 200 members enter the exhibition, and we had 426 entries submitted, which was quite a number. We were represented by 32 states and 9 different countries, and we chose to accept 95 paintings in this exhibition because we had such a large number of entries. So that was pretty wonderful. It gave more chances to more members to get accepted into this show. Due to the large number of paintings accepted into this show, however, David will join us for the awards section further on. Normally, we have the jurors say a little bit of something about all of the paintings, but with so many in this particular show, it's just not possible to do that. So David will give his explanations on why he chose the award winners in this show tonight. The first thing I want to do, though, is tell you I'll be monitoring the chat room as we go through. So if any of you have any questions, while David is actually talking about the award winners, write them in the chat room and I will be monitoring them. And David said it's totally fine for us to stop him and ask him any questions if any of you have any. We can't answer questions from the chat while the presentation is running for the first 79 accepted artists. We have 16 award winners and 79 accepted artists other than the award winners. Okay, but first I want to share my screen, and Deborah Roscoff is our acting president for Northwest Watercolor Society right now, and she couldn't be here tonight. And so what she did was she sent a little video recording, and I would like to play that for you. So.
Hi, everyone. My name is Debbie Roscoff, and I'm the acting president of NWWS. I'd like to welcome you tonight to the 2023 awards reception for our Waterworks online exhibition. I really wish I could be with you tonight, but this is the next best thing because I can't. So this is a Zoom recording for your Zoom meeting. This will have to suffice this year. Each year, when we have our 2 exhibitions, the president is asked to write a short message for the catalog. I was thinking about that. How could that be a little bit unique? And so in thinking about pulling an exhibition together, I really find the word magic to be the operative word, because I really find it fascinating that artists from around the world begin exactly the same way. They're standing in their studio, they are by themselves with very similar tools, a few tubes of paint, a big fresh tub of water, a big sheet of white paper, and a lot of crossed fingers. So we're all starting in the same way. But we have such unique visions that when the painting is finished and we love it, it doesn't look like anybody else's. So then we begin to enter an exhibition, and you enter and you wait and you wait and you wait some more. And then after you're accepted, we wait a little longer until we get this exhibition put together for everyone to see. And so tonight we get to pull back that curtain and see this explosion of creativity from 95 of our members. These paintings might all be of similar size. They might have common colors, but they are all so unique. Each person's personal agenda shines through. So if you just think about that a little bit, all of these solitary artists around the world, and tonight you see them all in one place, and their works are so different from one another, and every one of them exceptional. You'll see that magic too. So let's enjoy the collective magic tonight. Feel free to applaud whenever you like, especially when we get to the winners. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all of our members that entered this juried exhibition, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you.
Okay. Debbie's wonderful. We love her. We hope she has a safe trip home. I will start the slideshow now, and it takes about 12 minutes, something like that. And then we'll get to the award winners, and David will take over the stage. All right. See you soon. David, why don't you speak a little bit about the show and what you'd like to say, and then we'll share the screen again and I'll go back to the slides for the award winners.
All right. Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Molly. All right. So folks, I prepared a statement to kind of talk about in my thought process in selecting the pieces that were in the exhibition. And I also prepared some comments and statements about the paintings that I selected for awards. So I'll read that to you, but feel free to put a question in the chat, like Molly said, and we can break it up with some questions if you'd like. So I'd like to start by thanking Molly and Sue and Karen, and all the folks there at the Northwest Watercolor Society who have been working up to put this exhibition, the demonstrations, and the workshops together. There's a lot of folks involved, and I think all their preparation and work, despite the music not working, shows in their presentations. I mean, you're not going to believe, I mean, these people really put a lot of work into all that they did. I get a lot of email correspondence, and they're making sure they're crossing all their T's, dotting all their I's, they're checking everything. So they put a lot of work into this. I'd also like to thank the brave artists who shared their talent with us, and congratulations to those included in the exhibition. I was truly impressed by the quality and the range of work. It's always hard to juror, as it's very subjective. And we've all heard the phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So remember that. If there were another juror in my place, you'd have a different selection in the exhibit. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what is this particular juror attracted to? What is my criteria? So overall, the painting has to stand out in some way, capture my attention and interest. I may be attracted to a painting because I'm impressed by the artist's technical skill, their mastery of the water media. A particular painting might also stand out because it's unique or thought-provoking. Some paintings might tell a story or make a political statement or elicit an emotion, or I may simply find a painting beautiful and pleasing to look at. Also, when I juror, I'm reminded of a comment that I heard from Herman Peckel. I was taking a workshop from him years ago, and he said, artists make the worst judges as they focus on the technical side versus the emotional side of the painting. And he added that if Van Gogh would have entered an exhibition, artists would have never selected his pieces. So I tried to take this into consideration and not just look at the paintings with a technical eye, but also simply view the paintings in terms of whether I felt drawn to the painting. Does the painting elicit an emotion? Does the painting hold my interest? With that, I'd like to share my selection of awarded paintings.
Okay. Here we're going to go back to the presentation.
All right. All right. So carved out. Wow. Very well done technically to make the subject feel so three-dimensional and to represent the textures and patterns. I can almost smell the fire. I also love the intense, beautiful colors and use of value contrast to make this painting pop. The subject is very interesting and unique. At first, it brought fond memories of and feelings for me of sitting by a fire. But then, of course, it's vertical and not like a log you'd put on a fire, but rather of a tree after a forest fire. So it's beautiful, but it's a bit sad. We all know about the devastating fires over the past several years out west. To me, this painting is showing how a tree, even in death, can show its beauty. And again, this is shown by the exquisitely skillful way that the artist has rendered the charred surface of the tree. Thank you. Very nice. All right, small town summer. One of the elements that attracted me to this painting was the subject, a lovely landscape, a small rural town that feels very familiar to me. The perspective and the composition is pleasing, as are the color transitions. In regards to the painting approach, I like that it looks like a watercolor. It's not really opaque, for example. Instead, it shows the beautiful transparent qualities and interminglings of colors unique to the watercolor medium. And it's a fun painting to explore and find all the houses and rooftops. Again, a very pleasant painting that has a welcoming feeling. I feel like I'd be comfortable visiting this town. Thank you. All right, the Great Egret. Wow, this egret really pops with the stark value contrast and spectacular colors next to the white of the egret. But also the hard edges and flat grasses around the egret are juxtaposed by all the soft edges of the feathers within the egret. Again, love the beautiful colors, almost a stained glass effect. The reflections and water ripples are well done and can be difficult to achieve. And I appreciate the skill of the artist and time in planning this all out. For example, though the water turns a goldish orange towards the bottom of the paper, the artist was wise to continue with the cools around the reflection of the beak in order to make the beak stand out. So it's well done. Congratulations, and a fun, beautiful painting. Thank you. Yes, that's beautiful crab. Okay. What attracted me to this painting were the rich, clean color changes within the crab, especially by its head and the top shell, along with the accents of warm alizarin and gold. But I enjoy the soft edges within the right bottom pincer. But yeah, I think the top of the shell really makes this painting outstanding. Notice also the beautiful textures in the sand and the swirl in the sand and vertical marks by the pincer on the left help give it a sense of movement. Nicely done. Thank you for sharing. All right, fresh baked. Wow, those pretzels, they make my mouth water, right? I mean, this painting is really realistic. Nice composition with the placement and balance of the shapes. I think the accent of the blue napkin around those worms was a nice choice. I love the attention to detail with the grains of salt on the wood table. But even more impressive, if you take a close look at the broken pretzel, you can see the indications of shadows within the bread, which help the inside of the pretzel look soft. Looking closely at the froth or foam in the glass, you can see the attention to detail. Notice the napkin's reflections in the mug, the highlights on the pretzels and on the glass, and the beautiful shimmer on the handle. Do you also notice? You can even see a little of the warm color of the pretzel showing through the glass handle of the mug. Excellent painting, really well done, and I appreciate the dedication in developing such a painting. Thank you. Upper Gallatin Willows. What attracted me to this painting was I love the atmospheric quality created in part by the shapes being darker and more distinct in the foreground. And as we move into the background, it becomes increasingly lighter and softer. I think the composition is pleasant with the layers of mountains and hills all angling down towards the stream, which the meandering stream helps with the perspective as it draws our view into the painting and back to the soft mountains. It's a beautiful painting that I think folks would love to have hanging on their wall. Just gazing into it brings my blood pressure down. Nicely done. Thank you. All right. My life. Wow. Okay. This one brings my blood pressure back up. It's full of energy. Look at this, full of energy and movement, but the viewer also has areas in the painting that are quieter, that without the quieter areas of white, the darks wouldn't have the impact they do, right? If the entire painting was bold strokes and textures, it probably would not have the same impact. So I appreciate the very strong, bold, confident applications of paint. I love the marks, textures, and edges along with the value contrast. There are some areas in it that even feel three-dimensional. So this is a painting I can get lost in. I enjoy exploring the textures and rich darks that remind me of Sumier ink against the whites and soft colors in the background. The big question I have about it is the title, My Life. After seeing this painting, I'm very curious about the biography of the life, but thank you so much for sharing. Well done. Out of the Blue. Isn't this a lovely, serene painting? The piece must have taken a significant amount of time with all the negative painting involved to help create the sense of depth of one petal in front of its neighbor. Beautiful transition of colors, cools of blues and greens with just a touch of some warms, but not just the painting as a whole, but I admire the ability of the artist to transition the colors within the individual petals and create all the soft and lost edges, which helps suggest the softness of the flower. Notice that there are no petals that look stiff or brittle. They all look supple and soft. So again, well executed and a very pleasing result. Thank you. 1008. Great painting, great subject. Of course, her expression and intense gaze with the bright green eyes really pop. The green being enhanced by the warms against the cools. I notice there's almost a rhythm to the colors with the bright red stripes and warms within her skin and hair against the complementary colors in her hat, eyes, watch, tattoos, and chair. But I also appreciate the subtle changes of color, such as in the whites of the shirt, which, if you look closely, are not white. All those subtle details in the shadows within the folds of her shirt had to be purposely placed. So yeah, this painting was masterfully done. Well done. Semi-aquatic. This is a super fun painting to view, right? And the artist really captured the feel of being underwater in a pool. Great, unique subject. I love, of course, the light effects within the water, on the pool wall, and in the swimmer, but also the reflection of the swimmer on the surface of the water up top. Super fun to view and explore. Very three-dimensional look. Again, I appreciate the originality of the subject and being able to capture a difficult effect. Well done. Thank you. All right, Pavlos 2. Okay, this one, I love the texture and colors and the detail, but what really caught my interest was the design and the sense of movement. I think I and most of us would have been tempted to paint the foreground structure so that the bottom was perfectly horizontal and parallel to the bottom of the paper, and the top portion was perfectly vertical. But choosing to paint it with this orientation makes the painting more interesting and helps the different shapes flow one to the other. My eyes tend to follow the movement of one piece of metal and follow and connect to others as I explore all the textures along the way. So I commend the artists in their choice of subject. For rigid, static pieces of metal, it has a lot of lovely flowing lines. I also admire the artist in finding beauty and interest in something we would probably ignore. Another interesting element I find in the subject is there is the rigidity of the steel, but in the middle of it, you see this organic quality of nature doing its handiwork with all the rust spots. So thank you. It's a fun and unique subject most of us would probably never think to paint. Oh, but I do have one practical question, and that is, what is it? So yeah, if the artist can tell me what those pieces of metal are, I'm really curious.
Well, if the artist is watching, maybe you can say in the chat and they'll let us know. So
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. All right, Willamette Falls 1. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This one intrigued me for a number of reasons. For one, I'm curious as to the process. I wonder what kind of surface the artist worked on. Perhaps a smooth surface, like illustration board or gessoed paper. I can't tell, but it caught my curiosity. It also captured my attention due to the harsh, hard-edged geometric shapes, triangles, rectangles, horizontals, verticals of the ironwork next to the soft-edged, free frothiness of the water. So the artist juxtaposed the spontaneity and softness of the water spray against the rigidity of man-made structures. I think it's well designed. The composition brings my eyes right up into the space at the top of the falls, probably due to the hard, dark edges of the bridge against the white of the water. I think it's a great example of what can be achieved with a limited palette. I like that there are areas in the painting that are very realistic and other areas that are more impressionistic, almost abstract. And the artist definitely gives the feel of water falling and crashing and splashing and the feel of rocks. What I admire about their technique is they gave the feel of these things without painting every splash of water or every crack on the rock. Instead, the artist implies the splash water and texture on the rocks, and the artist was able to use that technique throughout the painting to create a sense of consistency and approach that helps the painting feel cohesive. And I think the artist did a great job of using the full range of values and consistencies of paint to achieve this. There are areas very transparent and perhaps more fluid, and other areas which are more opaque in the application, such as the darks under the bridge and the railings. Well done. Nice painting. Thank you. Sunny Spots, a very pleasant painting. The cows seem very content under the tree, which is very well painted and seems to be framing the cows. The cows too, I think, are well painted and nicely grouped. I like the interesting perspective and movement with the branches, the diagonal movement of the ground snow, and again, the placement of the cows. And I love the direct painterly approach that when you look closely at the painting, you might think, that's not very refined. It's just dashes and dots of paint. But when you step back, it all comes together, right? So I love the minimal use of brushstrokes, the economy of brushstrokes, such as in the cows, just a handful of dots and dashes, and the form speaks cows. I love it. Great painting. Oh, girl with the orange umbrella. Okay, this is, I absolutely love this painting. The mood, textures, colors. To me, this is watercolor. Wet, wet, and more wet, allowing blossoms, textures, and colors and shapes to connect. This is an example of relinquishing some control and allowing the medium to work its magic. As a result, you get the sense when looking at the painting that the artist had fun painting this piece. It doesn't feel heavy or overworked. It's light. Feels like it may have been simple to produce, but no one will ever be able to recreate this with all the complicated edges and textures within it. However, it's interesting. The figure is more distinct in the legs, and as we move up, the figure gets wetter and looser. So it's an interesting transition from distinct legs moving up to the umbrella, which merges into the background in spots. So yeah, I especially love the umbrella and how the cool background is leaking into it, and the blossoms and the edges. It's very special, and glad the artist shared it with us. And as the juror, I wanted to reward folks for taking these risks and creating a piece like this. Thank you. GIO. Okay, now on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have an artist who is showing tons of control and precision in this very well done still life. And yet the painting feels very light to me. Despite the tons of work that went into the piece, it doesn't feel overworked. Technically, very well done and precise. Stunning reflection on the lower right. Nice compositional arrangement. I enjoy the clean, bright colors and movement of warm to cool across the painting. Again, love the feeling of light, which almost glows. Notice above the whites of some of the cans, you can see it's not all pitch black, but rather there is a shimmer or aura of some of the light coming off the top of the cans. A very nice effect. And of course, I'm impressed by the amazing attention to detail. I can only imagine how much time was put into this. Again, I appreciate the dedication to the painting. They envisioned a particular effect and then made a plan and worked the plan step by step and developed a striking painting. It's an example of what can be accomplished if one is willing to put in the time. Thank you for putting in that time. And here we are, transported. Beautiful painting, beautiful subject. Love the light coming across her. Again, this is a painting that shows the amazing transparent qualities of watercolor. I'm impressed also with the skill of the artist, the blending of the colors and being sensitive to the edges throughout. I think with the blotches of color and drips, there is a risk. Could be super distracting if there's too many or too dark or they're not balanced. But one nice thing about the blotches and the drips is it helps give the impression that the painting was executed spontaneously, even if it wasn't. And having that feeling of a beautiful painting being completed with spontaneity has a wow factor to it. Like, oh my gosh, based on the dabs and brush marks and the drips, it looks like this, they just threw it together and it turned out amazing. Now, I'm guessing that the artist didn't just throw this together, but that everything was very deliberate. But giving the impression of spontaneity is fun. Another aspect of the painting that drew me to it was the artist captured a particular gesture and an expression on the woman's face, a very subtle expression with her eyes and lips that gives a particular mood. So the expression makes me wonder, what is she looking at? That caught her attention in what I perceive as a warm, tender expression. Yeah, I just love this painting, as I do all of them. And again, I want to thank and congratulate all those in the exhibition and thank the Northwest Watercolor Society for their work and for inviting me to be a part of this year's events.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. This exhibition will be in our online gallery at NWWS.org under the exhibitions tab in the gallery. And it will be up until June 30th. And we are going to be posting that gallery in the next couple of days. And you can go back and take a look at any of these paintings all over again for as long as you want, as soon as we post the gallery. So if anybody would like to purchase artwork, please contact our NWWS treasurer, Shirley Jordan, at her email address shown here. And we will work all of the details out with the artist through our treasurer. And before we go, as always, I need to thank our wonderful patrons. I mean, they are the ones who make all of our shows possible. And I say this at every general meeting and I say it at every reception. We couldn't put these things on without the sponsors, and they've been just really magnificent this year, and we couldn't thank them enough. So please take a look at these names. And if you can, please patronize their websites and their stores and help them support NWWS in the future. I want to thank you all very much for being here tonight. It was an interesting evening, to say the least. And David, we had somebody write and say that they thought it was the best presentation they had seen at any of our receptions. So they loved your comments about the award-winning art, and we think you did a great job. Thank you so much. And again, everybody, I don't even know if we're going to post this online, but we'll see. I'll talk with our acting president about it when she returns, and we'll see if it's even worth putting online. But thank you for joining us tonight. At least it was a nice, quick night. Thank you, David. And I'll see you in the workshop on May the 1st.
See you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Molly, for all your work. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Good night, everybody.